Hey there, welcome back to the City Project. So, unfortunately, I've thought about some things and made some decisions and decided that this episode we're gonna start over here. And all of that's because I'm a little bit stuck on what to do with the existing city, so I thought instead of worrying about that, I would just start something new, like I always do, never finish a project. Who wants to finish a project when you can just continuously do new projects? So that's what we're going to do. We're going to try to work with a slightly different building philosophy this episode. It's been almost a year since I started this project, so let's see what a year's difference in building can do. Well, I'm never doing that again. Even though we all know that is probably a lie, it's still nice to think that, at least for a while, to think I'm free from making crooked buildings like this and tearing my hair out about the diagonals. Yeah, but that aside, I'm pretty happy with it. What you think? It's nice. I think, anyways. You tell me different. That's fine. Yeah, this is the new kind of style I was thinking about, less about shape and more about color. And I can't remember what episode it was, but a long time ago, when I was building the school, I talked about my prioritizations with shape and color, and I actually don't remember what came first. Maybe this sign will give me a hint. Okay, it was color, but still, I'm gonna try moving forward to put even more emphasis on color, and that's kind of where this building came along. Now, the only reason it's diagonal is to deal with the mess I made here. If this was straight, this building would be straight. There's no reason for it to be diagonal other than to fit with what's already here. And so I thought, well, I'm not going to build a diagonal building with complex shapes, so I may as well just, build it simple and then experiment with colors to fill in the detail. And that's why there's this big flame swoop and then these green banana-looking things. Yeah, I really like the way this stained glass turned out. It was kind of a last-minute addition because I realized I'd be cutting out a lot of the illustration with windows, so I thought, why not just continue the illustration on the windows? This building aside, I'm pretty happy with it. This building, I am not. I built this a while ago, I think the same episode I built that school, and it just does not fit. It looks kind of odd. I think the colors or textures don't really go good together, so at some point, hopefully during this episode, I'm going to rebuild it. I also have a bit of a compatibility error with this style and this style in general, because this style uses smaller windows, at least this particular building, and I don't think they are very compatible with this. I mean, this looks just like a different scale, kind of. It's hard to explain. It looks like it's like the same sort of size scale, but differently shaped people would inhabit this versus that. I think that's the best explanation I can give. Either way, it's throwing me off a little bit. I'm going to leave it for now, but we'll see where things go. And speaking of where things go, you might notice I sound a little bit different. That's because I'm in a different room, smaller room. Hopefully the audio is a bit nicer. And yeah, also you might hate me for this, pointing it out, because you might not have noticed it before, but you might see that we actually have a proper full screen for this episode. No weird black bar on the top, which was usually a result of the windowed version of Minecraft. I still play on windowed, but I've cropped the window in OBS a little bit, so if you see the subtitles on the side there, they're a little bit cut off, to make sure the screen is filled up. So hopefully that's a good trade-off, and then I don't have weird crooked videos anymore. So I realize what I'm doing here is getting a little bit radical, and I also realize that I owe you some context, because so far I haven't really been explaining any of this. So yeah, this city is kind of just a bunch of buildings at the moment. It's not super centralized. There's no central piece to its infrastructure that really makes sense, besides maybe the university town, but that's a little bit iffy. And so I thought, you know what, I need to start committing to that, or it's never going to get done, and then it's just going to be plastered on the outside. So I thought, what the heck, let's make a bit of a port a little bit of a center for commerce to help the city feel a little bit more economically viable, I guess. So that's what this area is. Now, I've been trying some things with gradients, again, going with my color redux, I guess. I just waved my hands in the air, but you can't see that. And so I've tried with this prismarine, with the mossy cobblestone, mossy bricks, and bricks, just to break up the bricks a little bit, because bricks are really easy to overuse. In fact, any gray block is really easy to overuse. So I figured I would try to curb that a little bit with some wear and tear. So the implication is that this used to be painted all green or whatever, and then has slowly worn away over time. Or maybe the other way around. Maybe these bricks are a facade. I imagine that this is going to be sort of like, you know, both a commerce port and a transportation port. So I thought these up here could be little places where, you know, you could disembark from the top of a riverboat. Riverboat? Why a riverboat? Good question, me. Riverboat, because I have a bit of a plan for my no-plan megacity, believe it or not. I want to make this sort of the center of a river, and this is sort of the first step in that. Now, this plan isn't super concrete, and it could change, but for now, I think this is a pretty valid way to go. So, in the meantime, between cuts, I have established a very excellently made diagram of the whole situation. So yeah, so up here is that end of the city, all the way over there, and this is the rapids. This thin part of the river. It goes fast. The blue is the river. I hope that was clear. And then it goes around the island. This is the island, and then this right here is the port. Kind of. It's not to scale. You know, just use your imagination. But my idea for that is that this portion of the river is really slow moving because it's big, and so all the river boats can just kind of come up here, dock, and then, you know, unload their goods. This would be their last stop on a theoretical river journey, because of course they're not going to go up rapids, right? Those of you who recall last episode might remember that I actually planned to have a big cityscape over there and a forest below it. That plan is no longer a thing. You know, things change, stuff happens, and I want to do this now, so that's what we're doing. At least until the next big mind change comes up. I don't know. It's very fluid, this whole city. It's very fun that way. I did forget to point this out earlier. I have another elevator. I like including these sorts of things. I remember quite a while ago I had this accessibility episode where I went around the university campus and put ramps and stuff in place. And, well, that sort of ideology is kind of been pushed a little bit further back than I'd like. It's still present, and I try to incorporate it into all the buildings I do. Now, this building in particular, this whole area in particular, has a lot of work cut out for it in terms of accessibility. You know, the main way to get up and down is stairs, and that's not great. The elevator does help, but it's not enough. So I think later on I'm either going to put a bit of a boardwalk here with the proper grade, or just a path up this hill. Now, before I move on, I do have something to admit to you. Minecraft version 1.19 has been out for a little bit now, and I am currently in 1.17.1. I started this world in 1.17.1, and it stayed there because all my mods are in that version, and I don't feel like downloading new things. And normally, I would stay in this version, you know, whatever, right? I've got most of the blocks I want anyways, but there is a bit of a problem, you see. Oh, come on. Oh, geez, what the heck? There we go. It's void down here. Yeah, I have built this world on y = 1. And so I have no room to put any water. And that means either I need to move the entire city up, or I upgrade to 1.18 or above to get that extra 60 blocks below me. And honestly, I've tried moving parts of the city before, and it's just sucked. There's too many blocks. There's so many lighting glitches. It's no fun. I don't really have the skills or patience to deal with any of that, so I just really want to upgrade. I made a mistake. Uh-oh. See, this is why you make backups, everyone. Currently running at less than a frame per second, and everything's broken. Oh, we got an update. 0 FPS. So if you're wondering what all that lag was, that was me making a big mistake by not removing the sand I sculpted this terrain with. And so when I moved this area down about, what is it, like 10 blocks or something, everything fell into the void. And so I've learned from my mistake and have turned all the terrain down here into stone, so hopefully that won't happen again. Um, Luckily, I didn't have to resort to a backup of the world. This world was fine after a few minutes, but there you go. Make sure you check these things before you do radical changes like I did. And now we have this, which I'm pretty happy with. It's not going to stay like this. This water is temporary. I'm going to remove it when I'm done, because I want to finish consolidating whatever the heck is going on around this whole area before I commit to water like this. Right now, if I keep it here, it's just going to stay in the way, and it's not going to be very fun. So all I've done is dress it up a little bit so I can show you, and then I'm going to take it apart and hopefully redo it sometime in the future. The same goes for these rocks. They're just here to fill the space, you know, to give me a template to work on again later on. As for this area in here, though, it is done. I think, for the most part at least. Maybe I'll put a boat in here at some point, but for now it's just boatless, sitting here. And there are a few things I want to show you. I don't really know where to start though, but I think I'm going to turn on the shaders for this. So let's commence a lightning round of stuff with fun shaders, so you can see things. Ain't that fun? Okay, so here's a dumpster. It's got some funky fungus growing on it. We don't know, we don't want to know what's in this dumpster. I think it's pretty safe to say that's best kept secret. This dumpster is not so bad, you know, it's pretty cool. There's a fire escape up here. I don't really know what this area is, but I've seen like pillars like this on a waterfront property before, and they looked cool, so I put them here, and I think it looks cool. There's also these pots I really like. In fact, I think this is probably one of my favorite places in the docks. Just, you know, walking down here, bumping your head on these pots, and I guess jumping on them. Yeah, I don't really know what I was thinking putting them here, but I really like how they fill the space. That's honestly something I do often with this city, is if I don't know how to fill the space, I just put flowers or plants. And that usually works out just fine. Up here, I haven't really refined much. It's not super done. I'll come back eventually and fix that. And over here, I've redone the fire escape, I guess, again. Although it's not a very effective fire escape because you can literally go in any direction. So I guess it's not a fire escape. I don't know. Sometimes I just build things for the sake of them looking good and not necessarily for function. In fact, most of the city is that. But we don't have to think about that very much. Over here is my attempt at some kind of crane. I still don't really know what's going on, but the idea was to have like these little cranes here that would lift things from out of the water onto the top of whatever this is. Almost done. Then finally down here is some fun wet patches that I wanted to try out. So I used the deep slate bricks and the regular bricks, which I've just discovered happen to have the same pattern. They're just a slightly different color. So it looks kind of like this boat was just set here recently, and the water's all coating the top of this. I really like that detail, and I've done this with the crates as well. And so I thought I would try to do it down here. You can see I've got deep slate. It's a little bit harder to tell with the shaders, but it's there. However, I'm not sure if I like it very much, especially when it concerns the transition here. It's hard to do that because there's no darker alternative to dark prismarine or mossy cobblestone that I can think of. So I might just phase that out and go back to straight bricks and let the water itself do the coloring. But for now, I'm going to keep it here as like a little this and that hodgepodge. You know, I've got part of it deep slate, part of it just regular stone. Where else to go? There's one final piece I remembered. Oh yes, this arch. I wanted to have like a little welcome to the city, and I thought some red would be a cool color to put. Don't worry about the stuff leaking from the wall. And then there's this, I think. Oh. I forgot that was there. Anyways, I hope you've enjoyed the sound of my computer fans. That's about all I have to show you for this episode. But before I go, I thought I'd try something a little bit different. You see, usually what happens when I build is I'll talk about my thing, and then I'll do the thing, and then I'll talk about it a little bit more, and that'll be it. You know, it's very separate. But I thought to end this episode, I'd try something a little bit different and go through renovations on this building that I said I'd redo at the beginning, step by step with you. I don't really know how this will go, but I figured I'd try it out, see how it works. So I think the first step is I'm going to turn off my shaders because it's too loud. And then my second step is I think I need to, let's see, homogenize the body a little bit. So I'm gonna try that. And by homogenize, I just mean literally, you know, make everything the same. Then we can have a bit of a solid base color, I guess, to work off of. One of the weaknesses of this house is that it's very much a cluster of seemingly random colors, I suppose, and it feels a little bit like it was thrown together for the sake of having all these blocks present in the build rather than for the purposes of looking nice and cohesive. So hopefully, once I get all these colors figured out, we'll have a better idea of what shades or things we can add to it that will help its shape and context with the surrounding buildings instead of acting as just noise. Alright, so now that things are a little bit less noisy, I have the option to expand or change the shape. However, I don't want to really do that in this case. I want to challenge myself and try to keep this relatively boring square shape because I think I can use it to work to my advantage with the roof. But before we do any modifications to the roof, I want to talk a little bit about some material, I don't know, guidelines, would we call them? I guess, let's call them guidelines, although they really don't matter much at all. That is the fact that we have wood touching the ground. Generally, I don't care that much. However, in this case, especially since this is sort of like a park, having wood touching the ground could lead to implications of things like rot and stuff. And in some cases, that might even be good if we want to make this like a bit of a dilapidated structure. Perhaps it wasn't, you know, built as strongly as the rest of these, or maybe it's been here longer. But in this case, I want to prevent wood from touching the ground because I want this structure to feel pretty sturdy, like it's been here for a little bit, but it'll be here for a bit longer. And so I then take a similar color. Glancing at the creative inventory right now, I'd say why don't we try one of the new logs, that might look neat, and just fill in the gap for now. Now obviously this is a log, this is still wood, but it's not overtly like wood planks, and so we can kind of get away with it. In a similar way I get away with things like this, or the log shading down here on the pier. On second thought, the mangrove doesn't look that good, so I'm putting mud blocks here instead. And I think that looks a little bit better. That's what I get for trying to talk and build at the same time. Doesn't usually work out for me. Anyways, I've altered the shape a little bit, and added this black stone to hopefully contrast a little bit better than the other roof with both the tree and the build itself. Moving on from this, now that we've basically finished around the building, I've done this without telling you because I was tired of talking and building. I'm going to work on a bit of a gradient, and I think I'm going to revisit that mangrove color because it works really well with the pink terracotta. Look at that. So the gradient is a little bit more abrupt than I would prefer, so it looks more like a picture than a gradient, but that's not all bad, and I think I'll keep it. It looks especially cool on this side. I kind of like it, it's neat. Anyways, almost done the walls here. I think I want to fix this blank area of the wall by just building up some vines that'll snake around and stuff. And then we can move on to the roof and then we'll be done. Look at that. I'm not even going to worry about moving these windows, to be honest. They're just going to stay there. I'm not picky. These windows, however, are out because with the wall, or not the wall, the roof, get my thoughts out of order there. The roof I want to slope up this way. So something like that. So it's going to go all the way from down there to up there. And as a result, if I keep the windows the way they were, this is going to look a little bit like an office building. And I don't want this to look like an office building. I've got, well, not necessarily another plan for it, but a not office building plan, if that makes sense. All right, with that roof done, we are almost done the building itself. You can see how much these small changes really affect it. I mean, I think it's looking a lot more organized for once. You know, in the chaos of this city, it's nice to have something a little bit more put together. However, I do have one last thing I want to check out before I figure out what the heck's going on this wall, and that's the siding. You see, the wood I'm starting to get a little bit tired of. With such a large expanse, it doesn't seem feasible that this whole side would be made out of wood. So I want to try a couple different materials that kind of blend in with the existing color palette, and I think one of them is clay. So let's try this. I don't know. It's a little bit too warm for my liking. Okay, so, and we switch another block out. Let's try some mushroom blocks. Let's do the same thing. I think that's a little bit better. I think I'm going to go with that. It blends in enough with the mud, but it's got a nicer texture that it definitely separates the two still. So that's kind of how I pick blocks for my buildings a lot of the time. If you watch some of my time lapses, you'll see buildings going, you know, like Super Mario when he gets the star power up with all the different blocks as I swap out things to figure out what colors work. That's exactly how my thought process goes. Anyways, what to do on this wall? I don't know. I'm just gonna start punching holes in it and see what happens. That's how I make windows and wall details. That's how I did all this pier, and that's how I'm gonna do this. Literally, all I'm doing is just punching holes in the wall, and then filling some blocks in with whatever I happen to have in my hand. And honestly, I really like this. I think it's the mushroom block. The way the texture works is that if you attach another mushroom block to the side, it changes to the inside of the mushroom block. It really highlights these windows, and honestly, I kind of like that. I think there we go. Look at that. We've got a window design. How about it, right? It's sometimes it's that easy. Not all the time, but in this case, yeah. Okay, I don't like that window. It's a bit too close to this balcony railing, so I'm gonna remove that. And what the heck? This window is looking kind of neat here. Why don't we keep it? It'll be like a little sleeper window. I don't know. That's how this thing rolls sometimes. And then in that case, I'm also gonna change these windows out here, I think. Actually, you know what? No, I'm not. They're staying. There we go. Ultimate asymmetry right though. I gotta do this side, huh? Okay, let's try the same thing. Actually, you know what? No, let's just do big windows. I like big windows. No, I don't like big windows. Okay, I fought my inner demons. This is what we're doing for now. I'll renovate this side when I renovate the top of the pier. Where is that? It's over here. Man, I'm getting lost in my own city. Awesome. Okay, well, you know what? That's great. That's great. We'll keep it there for now. It's nice enough. The texture does most of the heavy lifting, so we don't really need to invest too heavily in detail right now. And that's it for this building. I hope you like it. In fact, let's get rid of the sign before we forget about it, like I do with all my other signs. Yeah, so you might have noticed in this build process that I went forwards and backwards on quite a lot of things, and I think that's an important thing to remember with this game in general, is that change is inevitable, right? It's hard to avoid, at least. I mean, this building itself is a change on an earlier existing product, and it's not going to be the final iteration either, as we can see by this side, which needs a little bit of attention. And I think that's an important thing to recognize in this game, is that, you know, changes don't have to be bad. You know, I say inevitable and are like, oh, that's bad, right? You know, like everything's gonna die eventually, but I don't mean to say that in a negative light. I mean to say that in a light that recognizes things can always improve, or, might I add, things can just change because we want them to change. It doesn't have to be an improvement. I could make a worse structure and still be happier with it, for example. You know, it doesn't... Minecraft is a sandbox, right? Sandboxes don't have to be pretty. In this case, my goal was for it to be pretty, but it doesn't have to be, right? And I think just doing, generally, is a better alternative than not, you know? I don't really know where I'm going with this, to be honest. I guess, I don't know, I've been thinking a lot about Tinfoil Chef. For those of you who don't know, he passed away on the 13th of August. That was a few days ago, as of this recording, and a lot of his attitude reflected that, like, especially with his most recent episodes of Hermitcraft, his attitude was very much of, just get it done, just do, I don't care if it's ugly, in fact, let's embrace the ugliness, and I think that's extremely admirable, and I want to carry that attitude into the city and just, embrace the doing rather than the done. I don't know. Again, I don't really know where this is going. I'm rambling, but I hope this speaks to you in some way, that you can have fun with this game no matter how skilled you are at building, no matter how skilled you are at whatever other aspect of this game happens to be something you enjoy. You can do it, and I hope I've helped you feel a little bit more safe doing so. Anyways, enough of that. I hope you really enjoyed. Yeah. Oh, you know what I should do before I end the episode? I know what I should do. Whoa. Before and after. There we go. Look at that. Oh, that's such an improvement. Oh my goodness. Wow. You see, incremental changes, I don't really quite grasp the improvement of something until it actually happens. Oh, I've actually cut some of my build off. Oh well. But yeah, I hope that illustrates just kind of the journey, the brief journey we've gone through. And yeah, well, there we go. Sorry for getting a little bit solemn there. It's just, I think it's really unavoidable, and I think it's definitely a catalyst for good conversation. Joe Hill's put out a nice video kind of regarding that. I'll link it in the description. It's just been on my mind recently, and I figured it's I use this channel to communicate, so why not just do that? Yeah, so anyways, that's the end of the episode. I really hope you enjoyed. What else do I say? Oh yeah, leave a comment. I love comments, Go ahead, tell me your life story. Well, don't actually. Please keep your private information private. Have a nice day. Take care of yourself. Oh, now I gotta clean up this mess. Alright, bye!